Hi, welcome to the Om Times Challenge, and I'm Jacqueline Johnson, and I wanted to share just an interesting experience that I had. As I said, I would be sharing interesting experiences through my journey of learning about light language and automatic writing, or you could say automatic writing as well as kind of like automatic typing, which that was a big shock for me when I found out that I could do something like that, and they're actually healing frequencies. Okay, so let's begin. Where do I begin? Where do I begin? Well, as you've been reading about the journey and receiving this light language, by now you are beginning to vibrate on a new frequency, and you might have already begun doing the scribbling, as I called it. Light language scribbling, which are actually energy signatures. You might have been starting those already, or you might be speaking a funny language, the language of light, which is coming through you. Simply just honor it and let it be. Know it is the light coming through you. Of course, always protect yourself. It is important, especially at this time. So right now we'll just wrap ourselves up in a golden circle of beautiful golden light and picture thousands of beautiful golden shining angels are all around you. Here we are in this beautiful pyramid of light with platinum rays of light pouring in from all sides. We are all together here in all spaces, time, and dimensions. We are all connecting to the one of everything that you are here and now. So let's begin. So when I started on my light language journey, I never expected that I would connect to this frequency so fast in my life. It was not too far after that I had been upgraded into these new frequencies that I then had a very strange experience. I woke up and I heard this crash. And it made me jump out of my bed. And I got up to look around to see if my cat had knocked over glass or something had broken. There was nothing broken in my house. I was just very, very confused, and I didn't feel very good. So, at my head that night, I felt as if needles were being, just thousands of needles were being put into my head. It was really very uncomfortable. So when I went to go to work that day, I couldn't handle even looking at a computer. My eyes were so sensitive. I could hardly even focus. And I couldn't handle the sound of the telephone ringing. It was just too loud. I couldn't even speak on the receiver. I knew something was wrong because my body didn't feel right. and I woke up and I had these big welts all over the back of my head. And on my neck, I had this big thing that looked like somebody had branded me with a brand, like what happens to a cow, a brand. It was very strange looking. I don't remember what it looked like very well, and I didn't take a picture of it. But it was like a V. It almost looked like an insignia. Now, I didn't feel so good, and everything was very off balance. And a friend of mine came by, who's a wonderful healer. And she looked at me and said, "Wow, you are really out of alignment." So she started to work with me with her tuning forks, and it began to put me into a little bit of alignment. But I still was very, very uncomfortable, and I seemed to be completely out of whack, as we could say. I then spoke to my teacher, who said, "You need to get over here immediately because there is a problem." He knew there was an emergency with me and I had to be seen immediately. My teacher was very intuitive and he could read your soul. He could see everything that was going on. He was actually a council member from Sirius. I keep his name confidential. He would like it that way. So I went over to see him, and he took one look at me and knew I was in trouble. He then began to communicate with the galactic medic team that I had been a part of for many years. But when he met me, he had told me that I was a global light leader star commander, which to me, that was gibberish. I really didn't understand those words. It took me many years to really understand what that means. And now I see what's happening. So he used crystals, which you can use crystals if you set the intention as almost as if shots. And I'll tell you one thing, it felt like I was on some kind of demo or Valium when he put those crystals on my arms. I was just completely numb. He found out that what had happened, it's quite an experience, what I went through. Over on the other side, there was a team working on me that night. And I was very familiar with my team. And what had happened was somehow there was a member who had infiltrated into the team who had not been, how this happened, I don't know, but had been properly screened and versed in what I needed for my lifespan. And also you must be very careful when they download us from the other side. Our brains can only handle between 1 to 2 downloads a night. If we receive more than that, we could just have a heart attack and die. It's just too much for our physical bodies at this time. Well, what had happened was this one who had infiltrated actually downloaded me with 17 downloads, psychic gifts. And that's why I felt like there were pins in my head, because there was too much stuff going on in there. And what had happened was that I died on the other side. They had to revive me. And when I came to and came back into my body, I smashed so hard into my body that I thought glass had broken, and it woke me up. And I was in completely out of alignment because of the whole situation. It was not the way it was supposed to be. Of course, it was perfect because I needed to someday get this information out to the public, how my channeling of light language began. About 3 weeks later, I was also on medication for this really strange virus that was bumps all over my head and a big welt on my neck. It took me some time, but it did get cleared up. It was considered not something you would find on Earth. Now, I know as some people hear this, they're like, wow, what's going on? This is really off the wall stuff. Well, there is off the wall stuff going on. And we, the starseeds, get to participate in a lot of it. So I wanted to share this information. So a few weeks later, I then began to wake up in the middle of the night around 3:30 in the morning and start channeling pages and pages of light language codes. And I will share, and you will see these codes. What is on this YouTube are the codes, except multiply more pages. It was 21 pages of the code, which later on I found out that they were for prosperity, health, harmony. They were codes for good things, highest potential. At that time, I didn't understand the language. I didn't even understand the vibration. But I knew something had happened because I was beginning to feel different. Every night for about 3 weeks, they'd wake me up and I would channel. I'd write and write and write, and then I'd go back to sleep, wake up in the morning, feel different. I would say about another few weeks later, I began to then connect with the energy of translating, understanding what they were saying. And I began to do energy work with these channeled signatures. And my clients began to have amazing results and amazing experiences from their energy healings, which they've evolved into something even more expansive than when they first started. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope you enjoyed that. And more goodies are coming. All right, many blessings.